What's up, guys? Josh Palet here with Zoe Wright, Dale, and Will from What's on the Menu Daily. We're doing the 2021 draft show here. We got a lot to talk about, but I want to start off with what the draft means to us. Because for me, the NFL draft was a big deal because I was a Charger fan, and I knew we weren't going to win, but getting a good player was a big deal to me. What do you guys think about the NFL draft from, let's say, the Falcons' perspective?
It's a time for us to show that we are willing to trade at all points because I feel like in history we've done that. But it's also just another time for me to be like, we're going to get an icon who's going to give me false hope.
I feel that. What about for you guys from being a Charger fan as well? Was it a big deal to you?
Well, growing up, we went through, as a Padre fan too, we had this decade and a half where we sucked really bad. So I always looked forward to the draft. I always equate it to like when you're at a restaurant, it's like the appetizer before the main entree in the fall. And it's like this weird time in the spring where it's like, wow, like we have all of ESPN, we have all of Fox, like everyone, the NFL Network, we're all ready to go. I love it. A lot of people hate it. I am definitely excited for this time of the year.
I love it too. I think it's better than most sports. Like, I respect the WNBA, but I never watch any of their games. I tune into the NFL draft from the first round.
Those games.
Yeah, I tune in from the first round to the 7th round of the NFL draft. I watch all 3 days. But my man over here, Dale, the Browns fan himself, what do you think about the NFL draft?
I mean, the draft to me used to be like the best part of football season. Right. Literally the best part of football season. I was, like I told you guys before, season ticket holder, 0-16, 1-15, sat in the freezing fucking cold. But draft night, we always had hope. Like every single year since I was alive, since we were an expansion team. And like I realized what the draft was. Like Tim Couch in 2000. Johnny Manziel, Trent Richardson, like
Brandon Weeden.
Brandon fucking Weeden. I was even excited for his ass.
Rookie.
Like I knew he was going to be a bum, but I still was excited.
I was excited for Brandon Weeden, I'm not going to lie.
But dude, I don't know. It's like growing up in Cleveland, like I understand like maybe the Chargers never got to like the Super Bowl or whatever, but you guys at least got to grow up with like LT and you had Drew Brees and Phillip and Antonio. Like you still had some dogs.
We had guys to watch.
We're actually the dogs, and we didn't have any dogs. We had puppies. We've had puppies my whole life.
We're not going to disrespect Joe Thomas like that right now, though.
Listen, the legend, but like he played with a bunch of puppies.
Facts. I'll give you that.
He was a legend amongst puppies. And I mean, now, like, granted, this year is different. Like, I don't know what we're going to do because the draft isn't as meaningful to us now. Now I'm looking forward to February. I'm looking forward to like that kind of part of football season. This is like, it's weird for me not being like all in on like the Browns draft.
You know what's weird? You're a Browns fan. You're really into the season. You guys have a good team. I'm a Padres fan, and now we have a good team. And I couldn't give a shit about who we draft in the first round because we actually have real players.
That's how I feel now too.
Right?
I'm
it's
at the
crazy.
point where it's like, dude, baseball season's fresh. It just started. I think at this point, because I know what the Chargers are going to do. They're probably going to go O-lineman, but you have all these other huge headlines where – are we ever going to see this QB heavy of a draft? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe in 10 years. It's just the way that the draft is set up. You look back, maybe 10, 15 years, there was 1 or 2 per round. And now you have potentially 5 in the fucking top 10.
Which is insane to me. So I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to start with the quarterbacks today. I broke them up into tiers. I don't know how you guys did it, but I'll start off. I have one guy in one tier, and it's Trevor Lawrence. I think when you talk about Trevor Lawrence, you're talking about a guy that is head and shoulders above everyone else. I like Justin Fields. I like Mac Jones. I like the rest of the guys. He just doesn't even compare to any of these guys. When it comes to arm strength, extending the plays, he's a winner. I think Trevor Lawrence is far and away the number 1 pick. I don't know. Where do you guys stand on Trevor Lawrence?
I think he's the definition of the new age quarterback. Like quotes came out yesterday of him saying, or like of his high school coach saying, like he's very committed, he's very cerebral, but he could also just walk away from the game today, and he'd be perfectly fine. Which in 1978 would have Mike Ditka fucking steaming from his ears, but in today's day and age, I think that just tells you that it's not very easy to distract him from like what his goal is. Like the fact that he's like when I'm done with it, like what's the Drake quote, Dale? When I stop having fun with it, I'm done with it, or something like that.
Preach.
Yeah, and I feel like that's to his advantage. The moment can never be too big for him because he's been living in this moment since like his junior year of high school. Like he's been the guy.
Been that guy.
Yeah, I've never been excited for a football like player coming out of high school till this. Like even like Jadeveon Clowney, like I knew about him, but I wasn't like waiting. Like basketball, you wait for guys. You know what I mean? Football, that's like a new thing, and for him to be this like very calm presence over it and not be too big, like he's not Baker or Manziel where it's a fucking show.
Yeah,
I think it says a lot.
What about you guys?
So my thing with Trevor is, who is his 2 losses? Bama and Ohio State, right? So playing in the ACC, I genuinely don't think that he saw anywhere near the level of NFL talent that guys like Justin Fields and Mac Jones have seen. So to me, I think that as a prospect, he's heads and shoulders above the field, but I can't wait to see how he handles the adversity of the NFL. The NFL is a different beast. Same game, different beast. Everyone knows this. So it'll definitely be interesting to see him in the Urban Meyer dynamic because, like, I mean, I got to watch Urban for years in Columbus. I think Urban's going to be one hell of an NFL coach, but it's going to be interesting to see because he connects with players. Like, people buy into Urban.
He's
like,
a player's coach.
Yeah, he's a player's coach.
Yeah,
like, he
absolutely.
knows how to get guys to want to show up and play for him. And I think what's his name? Lawrence was going through that at Clemson too. So he's going to go from players coach with Dabo to players coach again with Urban. So it'll be interesting to see like how comfortable they are together early, if he develops early on, or like if he struggles because again he hasn't faced the adversity often.
I think you brought up a great point. When he's at Clemson, their talent level is so much better than everybody else in the ACC.
Yes.
When you're on the Jaguars now in the NFL, boy, that's
Elevate.
what you really got. Right?
Yep.
What about you, Will?
Well, even I mean, yeah, they're playing like shitty Georgia Tech schools or Florida State. I don't know what the hell happened to them.
For real.
So he's the
Implosion
class
of the decade.
of 2018 in high school. So since 2014, his freshman year, like Dale said, he's lost 2 fucking games. 2 games. So I'm just curious, other than how fast he's going to dethrone Mahomes for the Head and Shoulders commercial because the flow. I have to respect the flow. Holy
That's
fuck.
a head of lettuce.
Yeah. Very blessed. I'm not sold on Meyer. And here, like, the only reason why Dale is obviously a little biased because of Ohio State, but this is not college. You're not dealing with boosters anymore. You're not the guy. There's going to be some players soon that are going to be making more money than Meyer. And I get it. I like Zoe's point too, where Lawrence is. I think we're in this era of player empowerment where he even said in that Sports Illustrated article, I love football, but if it doesn't work, it's not going to work. Where even you said Mike Dick in the 70s, I would say, 10 years ago if that was heard. And I don't know how much that's going to turn off Jaguars fans, but back to the whole draft status, I mean, you hear him in the same conversation with Elway, with Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. Yeah. This is that guy. I mean, he is that generational talent. I want to see. I mean, what happens when he starts 0-1? The Jaguars start 0-1. How he hasn't lost, and then even in those games that he lost, it was high scoring. It's not going to be like that.
Like, there's no debating. He will lose more games next season than he might have lost in his entire career up to this point.
His whole life.
Whole life.
Yeah, exactly.
Whole life.
Like, how do you handle that adversity? Like he hasn't. Everything's been kind of. I know he's worked hard, but life has been pretty easy for him. He's kind of not skated by, but it was a lot easier for him up to this point.
I think there's just I think there's 2 ways to look at it. You can look at it like that, or you can look at it like the Andrew Luck. I'm gonna stay an extra year and I'll retire early because when it's over, and when I get there, I'll get there. You know what I mean? It's just like there's no rush. What's meant for you won't miss you, type of thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like with Trevor, it's just more the lines of I think his biggest obstacle is going to be Urban Myers. And like I used to be an Urban fan. We're not gonna talk about why I'm not anymore. But the thing is, I feel like this. I saw Channing Crowder talk about it like. These are grown-ass men. You can be a player's coach when you, like, set up someone's whole schedule. Like, you went to Bama. Like, Nick Saban set up people's whole schedules. Like, you couldn't move without it. It's easy to, like, kind of be able to maneuver around these guys when you control how they move. You don't control how these grown-ass men worth millions of dollars move.
Families.
Yeah, exactly.
Mortgages.
Like, you don't get to tell me certain things when my son's in a private school because I got to get out here and get a check. So we got to see, like, it's all fun and games to be a middle school coach, but when you become a college coach now and you're dealing with like a higher level, and I feel like that's the gap between college coaching and the NFL. Is like there's about 5 or 6 steps there. You know what I mean?
All right, so we'll move into my second tier of quarterbacks. I'll start off with Zach Wilson from BYU. I'll let Dale start it off.
All right, so I would agree with that second tier. I think Zach Wilson's one of those players where, I mean, again, playing in BYU, how is he going to transition into playing with bigger, faster, stronger, older men? I think that he definitely has the athleticism. He's smart. He's very poised in the pocket, moves around well, stands in there, delivers a good ball. I think Zach Wilson's a great prospect, but again, in the lower tier, it'll be interesting. I don't know how So personally, granted, I'm the Fields guy, but I have felt, and everyone thought that Fields was the number 2 quarterback in this draft for 2 years now. Like, it's been clear set. Trevor Lawrence is one. Whoever comes in second, hey, congratulations on coming in second place in the lottery.
Since 2018.
Since 2018, you
crazy.
still get Fields.
Yep.
So, like, I don't know how you guys feel on this, but after, like, just looking into it, I don't understand how Zach Wilson instantly jumped Justin Fields like this. I don't understand it.
I would say because he had. I will give this Zach Wilson. So he's not going to play the Air Force Academy or Coastal Carolina. He's going to be playing potentially.
Put respect on the Chanticleer.
He's going to see Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett some weeks. Like,
I'll say this. I talked to Dale about this on one of our pods where I think his arm strength is supremely underrated. I don't think it's quite Mahomes or Rodgers, but I said this in my notes. He's a stylistic passer and that he can make any throw on the field. And he has now his frame itself. He's what, like 6'3" maybe. So he has the height.
6'2.5".
That's not
It's good size.
With cleats and helmet, whatever. But I think with the improv skills that he can do, and I think that gave him the confidence because early in the season, if you look at his stats, he progressed. But I mean, he's not gonna be afraid to make those throws. And I'm not comparing him to Rodgers or Mahomes, but I really feel that if we do like the 10-year game, I wouldn't be surprised if he lasts longer than Lawrence, just for the simple fact that he has that athletic skill. Like I've heard interviews where what is it, the Elite 11 or whatever, those quarterbacks that go with Trent Dilfer. I mean, so he wasn't quite the top dog yet there, but he had like a growth spurt and everything. I think he has a really high ceiling. The only thing I'm really worried about is how dysfunctional the Jets are. And I understand it's this big market now, and Robert Saleh is going to buy in. I mean, God, I don't know the condition of their line. I like Zach Wilson. I really do.
I love that you just said the Jets as a whole. Like, I'm still shocked that they traded Sam Darnold. I thought they were going to go Penny out of Oregon and just start solidifying that team because Sam Darnold never had a chance. What makes people think that Zach Wilson's going to come into New York and still have the same chance?
The Jets can fuck it up. They will.
They fuck it up. They could have had the best offensive tackle prospect in arguably ever to protect their quarterback that they wanted from day one, but instead they're like, you know what, we're just going to go get another quarterback with a similar prospect, highs, lows, whatever, and not
Wilson's
protect
better.
them still.
I think Wilson's better than
I have one question for you guys because I was won a lot of money on BYU early in the year. I will say this though, if it wasn't a COVID season where like the ACC didn't play this year, right? Correct? Or they played like a shortened season?
The Big Ten.
No. Listen, the ACC didn't play this year, correct?
No,
they played.
The ACC played.
They did play this year. Okay,
Yeah,
no. The reason
I
why
they didn't play because they suck. But
no. The reason why I asked this is because of how quickly college football was taken away, then brought back, and teams are scrambling. If we get to see all the conferences with a regular off season and a regular season, do we hold Zach Wilson high? Or is it because BYU put 12 games on their schedule from the get, was willing to go to Coastal Carolina just to have a chance to even be ranked high, and we're just a prisoner? Because, to be honest, that was the most I've ever seen BYU on TV. And they were on TV. They have their own channel. Keep this in mind. I have the Brigham Young channel on my cable thing. But, we never...
That's an extensive package.
Yeah.
Shout
out to my moms. But if we had all these other conferences at full speed, do we actually even see Zach Wilson before week 1? Or we don't see him till week 7? And then I don't believe all this Justin Fields narratives come into play because we only care because we saw him week 1 when otherwise we would have never seen him.
No, you're absolutely right. It's kind of like who's relevant now. And Ohio State had games canceled all year. They started late. I mean, guys, we all saw what Justin Fields did against Clemson. What makes people think that he's not an NFL quality quarterback? What makes people do this jump right now?
Okay, well let's talk about it then. So Justin Fields I have next on my list of actually I have him ahead of Zach Wilson, but I do think Zach Wilson is going to go to the Jets at number 2.
Yeah.
Justin Fields. Let's separate the quarterbacks. Okay, we got Justin Fields, we got Trevor Lawrence, the hyped up train over here. We got the guys on the up and up with Mac Jones and Zach Wilson over here on the other side.
Yep.
We'll go to Justin Fields. We'll start with Dale. He's the Ohio State guy. Justin Fields, he struggled a couple games, Northwestern, the national championship game, but for the most part, he dominated college football.
Yeah.
Why would you draft Justin Fields?
He's a winner.
He's a winner.
He's a winner. I think that if you go back and if I was to say there's one game that you need to go back and just watch this guy play, Clemson this year. And that dude took shots after shots after shots and just kept getting up and fucking grinding.
Yep.
That dude doesn't care what it takes to win a football game. He'll use his feet. He'll use his arm. He's accurate as all hell. He's the most athletic player arguably in this draft. I mean, the guy is a freak athlete.
Yep.
And he's a leader. Like, people like try to like criticize his leadership, saying he's not like the first one in, last one out kind of guy. Look at what this guy did simply to bring Big Ten football back. Like, this is a guy that loves the game. He loves his teammates. He loves his brothers. Like, everyone can get behind this guy. And I just think it's so disrespectful, the amount of criticism that he's been receiving in this draft process.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for any of it.
Well, as an Ohio State fan, you must be happy that the Jets don't want him, right?
For him, I am.
Yeah, right?
For Fields, I am happy because I know he's going to a good
He could
situation.
land in a great situation with the San Francisco 49ers.
Incredible.
Which would be great for him.
Yeah.
Go back with your boy, Joey Bosa. But what do you guys think about Justin Fields? Do you think he's a guy
Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa. I apologize. Would you hang out with Justin Fields? Would you want him as your quarterback?
So I gave Dale a really, really hard time this entire football season about Fields until I actually sat down. I didn't do the fucking Mel Kiper where I watched like 10,000 hours, but I did I watched extensive like highlights. I'll say this. I'm sold on Fields. I like Fields, and I actually said that. So he's probably fucking cupping it right now. But I'll say this. Every year, there's one QB that falls victim of like the media torture chamber where they're just under this microscope for whatever reason. I'm still trying to figure out this mystery. You know, was he a victim of like the social media era? He transfers from Georgia. You know, everyone loves comparisons. I think he's a little smaller, but a more athletic and stronger arm, more accurate Cam Newton. Like, this guy wins, like Dale says. Other than a couple bad moments against like Northwestern and Indiana, on the biggest stages, he delivered, which if I'm thinking this and I'm in an NFL front office and we're in a playoff game and it's cold out and he played in a cold climate, I need a guy to deliver. That's who I want. And, you know, you look at, was it the RPOs? Was it the offense that he was in where it was catered to his skill? Yeah, you could say that, but if you also look at the numbers deep too, if you look at his downfield accuracy rate where it's past 10 yards, it wasn't like Dwayne Haskins 2 years before where he's throwing at the line of scrimmage, it's actually pretty good. So my thing with Fields, I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be kind of happy that some of this is being deflected. And who knows? He's a hard worker. You know, I wouldn't say, back to the whole Trevor Lawrence SI article thing, Justin Fields would probably never say that. That's just not how he's wired. He's just, he actually wants to win. And he's, you know, I wouldn't say it's not like the big brother, little brother, but, you know, because him and Lawrence are the same age and they're going to be basically in the same conversation until they're done playing, he's been basically looking up to him. And he's been like second fiddle to what Lawrence does, where Lawrence can have a so-so game, and then you have Fields who will ball out, and he's still critiqued. And I'll say that the last thing, when he actually beat Clemson, I think that's what bought him a lot of money, because he had that 6 TD game where you thought, wow, this guy can actually deliver. Like, that was the litmus test. Mm-hmm. And
he was a Chris Olave bad read away from beating Clemson twice.
I'm so mad you said this, because literally the first thing I was going to say right now
Think about how
he was one miscommunication away from the national championship game. Like, one. Yeah. And the thing is, he was open either way. Like, either way Chris broke, he was open. It was clearly just a miscommunication. Yeah. So I don't understand. Not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but like, no, you're good. I don't understand why people are. I will say this. I believe Justin Fields is this good because it takes this much media torture to get him to drop one spot. Think about how much they have to dog this man out, say all this random shit, and you know what the worst thing that possibly happens is? He might go to Atlanta at 4. Like, you're doing all this to get him to drop 2 spots?
You know what I'm saying about the media thing? Like, why is there a guy that has to fall victim to that every year?
Here's the thing, though.
It's like scripted.
I respect it if you're the first guy to say it, because you might actually mean it. I hate when it becomes a wildfire, and I hate that we're becoming subjects to the wildfire. I was looking on YouTube this morning, and I didn't even click it, but it was an ESPN clip saying, "Is Trevor Lawrence as NFL ready as we think he is?" I'm gonna be honest. We don't fucking know, but guess what? We'll know in 3 fucking months. So why are we like I feel like a lot of times, like, no offense to baseball, this is when baseball starts after opening week and basketball is like that week or like that month before playoffs, and it's either really heating up or it's like the spots are solidified. That's when the draft comes in. It's supposed to fill this void. But when the draft is super top heavy and basketball's kind of boring and baseball's settling down, that's when the narratives come out crazy about the draft, because it's supposed to be the next hype thing. Right. When, like, if you look at, I swear to God, if you look at the basketball and like everyone's 3.5 games apart from each other and baseball's going crazy, crazy, these narratives about the draft don't go because there's other things to talk about. Like these people will still be doing this about the draft, but as far as like the incumbents on these panel shows and shit, they don't talk about it as much because there's not as much to talk about. Like we've had a clear number 1 pick for damn near 6 years with a clear number 2 for half a decade. Like and we're all of a sudden the last 3 weeks, I'm not the guy you say I am. 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Well, I think that's because LeBron's hurt, so they can't.
There's
no highlights for him.
But that's my
A and B blocks.
But that's my point about the
social.
social. But back to like the social thing, like they need something to talk about. I believe if LeBron's playing full speed, the Nets have everyone going. Baseball goes. Musgrove gets another no hitter. We don't give off. We don't give 2 flying fucks if Trevor Lawrence is NFL ready. It's just easier to be like he's ready. But because we don't, we're bored and they're like, fuck. What are we gonna put in the C block?
Right. We're almost asking too many questions. And it's like, Josh, like for you went to Bama, you were in the locker room. Did you ever like experience any of your teammates go through something like this where the media was just like criticizing them and you guys are sitting there like,
oh, absolutely,
this isn't adding up?
Reuben Foster was our linebacker, which, as we all know, was slandered. He did things he shouldn't have done, obviously, but I think people are looking for reasons not to draft him, said why you should draft him. He was clearly, when you watched college football, the best linebacker. Like, everybody wanted to make a reason why you wouldn't draft him.
Yeah.
I want to go into my next guy, Mac Jones. He's a guy that's the opposite of Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Not hyped up. He's somebody that everybody wants to draft right now all of a sudden when most people didn't even know his name 2 years ago. I think it's interesting because he doesn't have the strong arm. He isn't very athletic. He's the opposite of Justin Fields in almost every way. But yet he's listed ahead of Justin Fields on most mock drafts at number 3 of the 49ers. Would you take Mac Jones as your quarterback?
If I'm Kyle Shanahan, no.
Okay.
Because you just had 2 mildly unathletic quarterbacks in Matt Ryan and Jimmy Garoppolo. And anytime one of his backups came in and he got to run the offense a little bit more spread out and run around backyard style, like what's my name, Berta or Breida?
Matt Breida?
No, Beathard. CJ Beathard.
Yeah.
Like, see how he runs around? They get more of a flow. He might not be as good as a quarterback as Jimmy Garoppolo, but the offense is clearly, the play calling is more like to his skill set a little bit more. The guys who can improvise. I think the Mac Jones thing is one of just like we say every year someone takes like a fall due to the media. I think every year we get the misnomer and then people are like, it makes no sense that he's this good. So it's got to be that he's just a winner. Like, he's getting all the credit we wouldn't give Tim Tebow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's just how it is. It's like, well, like, because think about it. Everything works against Mac Jones, and he gets hired. He's an Alabama quarterback. We already know what that looks like in the league. No offense to them, but A.J. McCarron's probably the best one we've ever seen. Like, you know, like...
In our era.
Yeah, in our era, yeah. Like, yeah, he's an Alabama quarterback. He's not, like, doesn't have the experience, doesn't have the arm talent, doesn't have the overall talent. I like Mac Jones, don't get me wrong. And Josh will tell you, I usually hate all Bama players, period. But I just feel like it's one of those, like, all right, we're crapping on him. Trevor's cool. We don't know what Trey Lance is doing because they played 1 game. So let's just, like, host up Mac Jones because we got nothing else, once again, to talk about. If we don't create controversy, we don't have a show. Right. So let's create controversy.
Do you think you would hurt Mac, or would you take it against Mac Jones that he had Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, or do you think he's that good?
So this is the thing about, like, quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. Like, their teams are fucking loaded. Right? Like, they're loaded. They're used to playing with NFL talent. And that's the thing, like, watching Mac Jones's, like, highlights and, like, reading them. I think that he has great pocket presence, one. I think that he might have the best pocket presence of anybody. Mm-hmm. But he also probably had the best offensive line of anybody.
He did.
It's easy to feel confident sitting in a pocket with 300-plus-pound men running at you when you know your boy's got your back. Mm-hmm. It's easy to throw the football when you have Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith running your routes, right? Like, you have Najee Harris in the backfield. It's easy. But even in the biggest moments, like against Ohio State, like, he makes good reads. He's accurate. And, again, going back to that pocket presence, I couldn't get over it. Like, I genuinely think that he might not have the most upside in the draft, but I think potentially he has the best prospect potential in the draft for those reasons.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think with Mac Jones, you know exactly what you're going to get the most besides Trevor Lawrence, or is he maybe the top guy? What do you think?
I think that with Mac Jones, you're going to get somebody who's not going to make a lot of mistakes. Like, he's going to come in, and I think the perfect situation for him, I don't think he's going to go here, but would be Atlanta. If Atlanta is going to draft a quarterback, why not keep Matty Ice for 1 or 2 years? Bring in Mac Jones, teach him how to be professional, how to make these reads, hopefully get his arm a little bit stronger. But you're going to have receivers, you're going to have options. I think that's a situation that potentially would be perfect for Mac.
You know what I think? I'll cut you off real quick though. You know what I think is complete back to like the misnomer of this. we hold it against Trevor Lawrence from playing in the ACC and not playing against like the premier talent. But then we look at Mac Jones and go, well, you had all this fucking talent. You went against the best college players. But then we hold it against them. Like, I'll say this. In recent years, who's a quarterback who's like had just a actual dog shit team besides Jordan Love, who we gave way too much credit for last year, who's like coming on like they might not have NFL prospect receivers, but they're not dog shit. Like they have late round receivers coming out of these schools. Like most of these top prospects aren't playing. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that one. But he had to sit a year for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he had to sit a year, and Alex Smith almost became the MVP because he felt the pressure.
And when did it get wrong to have to sit a year?
I know that's one.
When did it become wrong to have to sit a year in the NFL?
Because I think what's happening is the rookie contract. So since
Sam Bradford fucked it up.
Yeah. So then when they started doing the rookie wage scale, like all these teams, and then you saw Russell Wilson, all of these teams see like a capital window to say, all right, we have 4 years to basically pay this guy $2 million max per season. And you need to surround everyone around him with talent. That's what I think in terms of the year. Because I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. He's had a year too, right? And
I think he said 3.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers had a couple years.
He doesn't play till he gets to Dallas, and and Chris Collinsworth goes, I don't know how long Brett Favre is going to be out, but you can't win games with Aaron Rodgers. And guess what? Brett Favre ain't never touched that field ever again.
Nope.
No, but with the Mac Jones thing, you know, I think we remember these guys in high school. Like there'd be like a pretty girl walking around, and somehow this just gumpy looking dude was able to pull. And you're thinking, sitting there with your friends, saying, "How the fuck does this guy pull?" Like you see this when he was talking on the other day on ESPN with Shanahan, and all the media. Just, I mean, look, we're talking about it. They just. You see all these tweets from verified accounts. Oh my God, they're conversing on the field. Like, yes, I hope they're fucking conversing on the field. Like, why else would he be there? They're not, you know. I hate doing numbers, but I have to do these numbers really fast. So 49ers stats offensively, 52% snaps under center, 34% of the pass yards came via play action, 87% from the pocket. As Dale mentioned, I do like Mac Jones from the pocket. I think that's where he can thrive most because he has subpar athleticism. He's not going to outrun anybody. He can't probably throw it 75 yards, but I think the reason why Shanahan, I don't know if you guys can attest to this, maybe is the NFL now more about fit as opposed to scheme? Like, can he basically just plug him in and say, all right, I'm going to give you the keys. Don't crash the car. Because the only reason I kind of am against that is what's the difference between Mac Jones at that point and then Jimmy Garoppolo? Because I feel like in order to take that next step, to be a world champ, you got to have not a gunslinger, but you have to have a guy that's willing to make that risk late in the game and get you out of trouble.
See, you ask about fit, though. Look at what the Ravens did with Lamar when they brought in Flacco. A good coach, a good team, a good organization, they're going to scheme their team to win around what they have. Yeah, and like a team like Mac Jones, like someone like Mac Jones, you can create a scheme for him to succeed any day. And Josh, like you can like allude to this more. Does Bama prepare guys like Mac for this moment? Like, is that what the quarterback room looks like? Are you getting ready? Is that why you're having a lot of pocket presence and accuracy and like giving good balls? Like, is this what this moment's made for him?
I think absolutely. I think when you have a guy like I was with Lane Kiffin, for example, and Steve Sarkisian, who was with the Falcons, I think they absolutely prepare you for the NFL. I think you can prepare a guy as much as you want, but it's just who he is.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, I love Jalen Hurts. I never thought he was going to be an NFL quarterback because I didn't think that's what he was, but he was prepared for it. Right. I don't think he wasn't smart enough. I think he's one of the smartest guys I've ever been around. I think Mac Jones fits better in Atlanta. I'm sorry. I think he sits behind Matt Ryan, figures it out with Calvin Ridley, a guy that he's familiar with. He knows Julio a little bit. Justin Fields needs to go to San Francisco. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields needs to go to San Francisco, but I think when you talked about like fit to like scheme, I think there is like a weird balance because you brought up the Ravens, but let's talk about it. When they changed that offense for Lamar, it started looking real. I mean, they did lose Marshall Yonda, and people don't talk about that. Like that was huge. That was a huge factor. It's not as easy to dance around that pocket when you don't know who, like when you have someone coming to like clean up someone from behind. But I think what the issue is with San Francisco is, and I don't think anyone's talking about this, Kyle Shanahan's quarterbacks have gotten progressively less athletic the higher up he goes. He went from RG3 to like the Kirk Cousins mild experiment to Colt McCoy still having to be there, who's an underrated athlete. Maybe not the greatest, but I'd probably say he's more athletic than Mac Jones, to be 100% honest. Yeah. People won't say that, but I think he's faster. I think he's more elusive to a certain degree. Matt Ryan than Jimmy Garoppolo, and it goes back to me saying Beathard running around works better. You get Mac Jones, you just got more stationary Matt Ryan. At least Matt Ryan did RPOs at Boston College and in high school. Like, this isn't Mac Jones, this isn't a fit for him. Like you're saying, saying, but I think, like you said, there will be places in that scheme that will work. But overall, I feel like, what is the point of bringing him in and doling down your offense more and more and more so you can go back to the Super Bowl and get your third worst loss that you've been a part of in the modern era? Like, what is the point? Like, bro, buy in. Go. San Francisco, get a black quarterback. I said it. I don't like to bring race into it, but I just feel like because we're in California and I don't think it's one of those things like that, but you can't explain to me how this is your offense and this is the guy for the offense who can do everything Mac Jones does plus run around.
All right, so we're going to finish up with Trey Lance from North Dakota State. I'm going to throw a couple numbers at you guys. 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in 2019. You can't ignore that. But then again, he played at North Dakota State. Would you draft a guy from North Dakota State in the top 10?
I think the issue is much like the Carson Wentz. I believe if you ball, you ball. Like, some people they adapt to speed, they adapt to game. Some people play better against better competition. There's a whole phrase saying you play down to your competition. Some people show up to show out. I think the issue that he's going to have, as much as Carson did, Carson threw more passes his rookie year than he threw all of college. Trey might have a fresh arm because he didn't play, but I think the fatigue of the NFL season and then playing against higher competition will be the issue, because I feel like we only say Carson only missed some games because he tore the ACL and other things, but it was clear his body started to literally break down, and I don't think it was just because he came from a small school. I think it was just he didn't have experience with the speed to a certain degree, and when he's healthy, he can play the speed, but the second that you're one of those smaller guys and you're like, you don't have the same experience, your arms hasn't gone through the same amount of work, the second you're off that game at any percent, it's shown very visibly.
Do you think, the difference between Trey Lance and Carson Wentz is we saw Carson Wentz before he got drafted. He played his season. Trey Lance played one game last year at a school that we don't talk about in general. I mean, for you guys, would you ever take a chance on a guy like that?
So, I mean, as a Browns fan, when Carson Wentz came out, we had the conversation, and I couldn't have been more out on him. I genuinely couldn't have been. Like, I like my quarterbacks to be somewhat NFL ready and playing against high competition, right. Like playing in the SEC, playing in the Big Ten, even the ACC. If you're a high-level ACC quarterback, you're getting some.
How we talk about the ACC.
The ACC slander is so ridiculous.
But I feel like it's
warranted to some
degree.
Continue.
I'm
sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. But, like, I don't know. Just personally, as like a pro football fan, I like my draft picks to have a little bit of credibility against other NFL prospects. I don't know. Like Trey Lance, he's very raw. We know this. We haven't seen him last year. His athletic upside's through the roof. He has a good arm. But is it going to translate? Is it going to be like a Carson Wentz where they come in and once NFL teams kind of figure him out, they take it away?
Trey Lance is the perfect type of guy that John Elway's probably staying up and jerking off to because he just loves big arm, talented QBs.
Fuck John Elway.
Josh, you mentioned, and he's not a GM anymore, so George Patton, you're going to have to deal with that nightmare. Josh, you mentioned numbers. Outstanding 2019. I'll give you this. 17 career starts that he's played. Only guys like, Mitch Trubisky played, I think, 13 or 14. So I like experience too. I really feel that his athletic upside and ceiling probably the highest out of all of them. But I mean, dude, you're going, and then so he had the COVID season. What, he played one game last year?
They literally made one game. This is like, you know what a showcase is at the end of the season?
Yeah, exactly.
They basically were like, hey, we'll give another school blank amount of dollars to get fucking ran through so this guy can leave and we can put up another fucking building or have like another like statue or some shit for him. That's crazy. I love that though. From a school.
So,
that's respect.
With him, it's like, yes, and he's only 20. He doesn't turn 21 until the end of the year, which is everything is
like
on
that
his
part.
side, but he is so raw. Like I can't imagine him being thrust into a position to start. Like if I'm a team that takes him, I want him to play every snap of the preseason and then probably sit. But the thing is, there's so many people that are under the gun right now that have to be able to be like, okay, we only have an X amount to pull this off. Like you cannot really sit. That's why I just questioned the Jordan Love pick with the Packers last year. I mean, I think guys like Josh Allen and Ben Roethlisberger, who came from super small schools but are super tall, rocket arm guys, are giving these bigger dudes at smaller schools a chance. Even Carson Wentz too, but he played more. I mean, it's just it's a risk. I mean, that's a serious risk. It's like high risk, high reward, whatever that saying goes. I mean, if it pans out, you're set. Like, because he fits all the traits. Like, if you're building a guy on Madden, he has every physical trait that can do it. 17 starts. That's at a
sus.
lower level. It's not like he was at like LSU. He's playing against guys that are probably going to sell insurance after they're done playing football. Like
he was a.
I'm sorry. I was going to say he had 28 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Dude, his passing yards, he had 2,700 passing yards. He's not throwing deep passes.
No.
At North Dakota State. I'm not drafting him. I'm sorry. I like the kid. He seems like a great guy. I'm not going to draft him.
I think stats can be misleading, though, in that case, because Sam Bradford had a big arm and then led this league in completion percentage with the lowest yards per attempt in NFL history for this. But I'm going to just say this, and then we're going to transition to our mock drafts. I think the biggest issue is, and I blame one person for, not even from the small school thing, it's the misnomer thing that I was talking about earlier. NFL teams got to stop trying to find Tom Brady in the first round. They're all like, they will find any excuse to try to make a fan base believe in a guy because we saw Tom Brady get picked in the 6th or some shit, and they're like, well, Tom Brady looked like this. Look what he turned into, bro. That's
an anomaly.
Yeah, but I feel like that's what they think. They're like, well, if he's smart and he never eats strawberries, then he'll be able to work out. Like, bro, it doesn't work. Like, even Ben Roethlisberger being at Miami and Ohio is an anomaly. Yeah. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, I think Sean McVay went there and played wide receiver for this fool or some stupid shit like that. Like, I just feel like we will convince ourselves that something's true till we convince the world. And it works. You're only as crazy till the first person who believes in you. But some of this is just dog shit, and we just got to call it how it is.
You literally hit the nail on the coffin there. What happened to the late round prospect where people know are raw? They're not first-round talent. Everyone knows they're not first-round. They shouldn't be getting first-round money, but they're just taking leaps of faith. Leaps of faith in the top 10 for nothing at the potential at this point.
It's ridiculous.
I don't get it. It's okay. It's okay to take the best available player and to make your team better. It is okay to do that.
Everybody wants to be the next smartest person.
Yes.
Dude, Chargers, when they drafted Larry English.
Oh my god!
I was like, bro, like,
oh, so bad.
Hey, congratulate. We're gonna transition soon, but I promise. He's got Vincent Jackson. Great pickup out of Northern Colorado. And then he turns around and gets Larry English out of like Western Illinois. I'm like, bro, like who the hell is this? He's the worst player I've ever seen. All right, I'm
Bust.
sorry. I'm having a heart attack. All right,
Larry English reference. I'm sorry, that's crazy. Right now.
Yeah, Buster Davis. All right,
God.
His name's Buster for fuck's sake. All right,
it looked good for 12 seconds. Though. That looked better than Larry English for a little bit.
Yeah. So we're gonna transition into our mock top 10s. We'd give you all 32, but we don't have 5 hours to do this. Yeah. So we're gonna start with Will. Give me your top 10 picks.
Can we do thumbs up or thumbs down if we agree with this?
Yes,
no one talk. Let him get through it. But as you give your picks, we're just.
I like that. All of us will be.
Yeah.
And then we'll roast each other.
Yeah, exactly. When it's all done, yeah.
Okay, you got it, Will.
Okay, Jacksonville with the first. I'm just kidding. I think this goes without saying. Trevor Lawrence. I don't think this is a kind of a no-brainer. I think for the better part of 6 months now, we have known for doubt, and I do not think that Urban Meyer doesn't leave that Fox booth without knowing that Trevor Lawrence is going to be his guy. So good luck. He's going to be. He's in this different era where he's going to think he's above everyone else, but I do believe in him. Number 2, kind of no surprise either, Zach Wilson. I think his upside is extremely high. I think he's going to last longer than Trevor Lawrence. I really do. I've had conversations with people where I don't see Trevor Lawrence lasting longer than 10 years, but that's a separate discussion. I think if you surround Zach with like the right people, you need to beef up the line. They have Mekhi Becton from last year. I think you can do it. Just give him some weapons on the edge, and you're not playing Tom Brady anymore, so you're going to have to figure out Bill Belichick, but, it is what it is. Here's where it gets funny. So San Francisco, and I've dogged him. We've done it for the entire podcast now. I hate them sending a QB from Bama this high. I'm going to go Mac Jones. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid at this point just for the simple fact that I think there's no smokescreen. There was a reason why John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan went this high with Mac Jones. With the whole Jimmy Garoppolo contract, his salary hit's going to be $24 million. I don't know if they want to pay that anymore. My first trade, it was supposed to be the Atlanta Falcons. This is Zoe's Atlanta Falcons. I think Miami trades up and they take Kyle Pitts. He's one of my absolute no-brainer. He's going to thrive. Super young. They need to surround Tua with weapons. I think at this point they're going to give him maybe another year or so. I think they have so many picks from all those trades that Brian Flores accrued. Maybe go offensive lineman later in the draft. Number 5, no surprise. I wanted to put a receiver here, but I'm going to go Rashawn Slater from Northwestern. You have Joe Burrow coming off a knee surgery. You invest a ton of money into him. You want to beef up and solidify protection around him. Number 6, the Dirty Birds right here. Here it's called upside, and you guys have Arthur Smith now, who came over from Tennessee. He rectified Ryan Tannehill's career. I think he's going to try to do the same with Matt Ryan, even though he is 36. I think you take Trey Lance. I really do. I think at this point he's going to have to sit. He's going to learn, have some weapons around him. And, you could go an offensive weapon, but I want to keep him there. Detroit, Jamar Chase. Even though he sat out this last year when he played, I almost wanted him to go to Cincinnati, but Cincinnati needed protection. Jamar Chase becomes the first wide receiver off the board. Hands down, he can do everything. I wouldn't say he's the best route runner. I think that's Devontae Smith. But in terms of overall athleticism, being able to get open and get off the block, give me him. Carolina, nothing sexy here. Penei Sewell. I think that's how you say it. Penei Sewell. Mm-hmm. Oregon, protect Sam Darnold. You have Sam Darnold here. Denver. I almost had a trade. I have two trades in this, but I don't think so. I think the first defender that comes off the board is Micah Parsons, who is the edge rusher from, I think he's edge, I don't know, from Penn State. The only thing I'm worried about, he played a lot of zone in the Big Ten, covering all those crossing routes with Dale School. Can he cover, the guys on the Chargers? Can he cover Tyreek Hill from the Chiefs? That's the biggest question because Von Miller's kind of on his way out. Number 10 is supposed to be the Dallas Cowboys, who I thought was going to take a quarterback, but I think you hear this a lot. I don't think New England is going to be this high in the draft again. I think Bill Belichick might croak before he has his team this high. I think they trade the pick with Dallas, and this is where Justin Fields goes. I think Justin Fields is going to go into New England, and I think that Bill Belichick he's going to set up, like a rich parent sets up his kids with all the fortunes and life insurance and everything. He's going to set up, whether it's Josh McDaniels or his next heir, and have a guy that knows how to win. He played under, a rigid system, and he likes those disciplined guys. Give me Justin Fields.
I like it, dude.
I like it too.
A lot of similarities in my picks and your picks. Who wants to go second?
Go ahead, Zoe.
All right, so this pretty mofo Trevor Lawrence is going first. If Urban Myers just stays as far away from him as possible, it should go well. Now, we talk about social media, we talk about things. I might have drafted more off perception and culture, even though a lot of these teams in the first round have new coaches and things. I believe this. The Jets will fuck it up anytime they can fuck it up. So, with that being said, if Zach Wilson is for sure the number 2 pick, that means the Jets take Justin Fields. Because whenever they can, just fuck it up. If Zach Wilson's the number 2 for sure, the Jets never get the for sure. I don't believe Big Bob Saleh is going to come in there and change up the culture like this. I believe certain stenches are just genetic and there's just pH balances. And I believe this Justin Fields is going to get to New York and get fucking murdered like Joe Burrow did last year because they have no offensive line. Actually, no, they did draft an O-lineman last year, I believe. Yeah. But besides him, it's a bunch of people running around with their fucking heads chopped off. And I know this sounds crazy, but in the history of life, we've seen the Jets do something dumber than this. So until you're going to switch it up, I just don't believe you. Number 3, to the 49ers, back to my point about the athleticism, I believe they go and get Zach Wilson because it would just make more sense. You get the Matt Ryan arm talent and you get the RG3 elusiveness without the ankles. I think this actually fits Kyle Shanahan's system more. Not the system he's running, the system he wants to run. I think he's actually tired of dumbing it down because they got a bunch of old, non-athletic dads out there throwing the ball. I love Matt Ryan. I am a Jimmy G fan. But let's be honest. RG3, Kirk Cousins, they started this gangster shit. It was about moving around the pocket, reading the zone, doing all this different stuff, and they just keep slowing it down. And the position's getting more athletic. I don't believe Kyle Shanahan being the guy who kind of gave the ball to the quarterback and said, get your options, do whatever the hell you want, goes and gets Mac Jones. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, I don't know, maybe John Lynch is in charge, but I believe John Lynch works for Shanahan. I don't think Shanahan works for John Lynch. Ooh. Now we get to the 4th pick. My Falcons will trade this because anytime we can trade, we will trade. Yeah. I just saw us trade back up in the first round for 2 offensive linemen 2 years ago. Think it was a great move. Dan Quinn, you suck. But I like if we don't trade, I like the pick Parsons, the edge rusher.
Parsons.
I believe, even though he's not that high of a talent there, I believe if we need an edge, we got Dante Fowler. I think we got Grady Jarrett in the middle. It makes sense that we get someone on the edge to solidify that. And we've drafted about shit. In the last 10 years, in the first 2 rounds, we've had to have drafted like 6 edge rushers or outside linebackers. We eventually got to get it fucking right. But if we don't, I believe the best trade partners that make the most sense for the teams and for the Falcons, I'll be the Broncos. If rather they go with Drew Lock or not, because I do believe they will be possibly trying to go back up in the first round if they trade this. I believe that they're a sleeper for Trey Lance if they choose to do that, because clearly they don't want to take huge leaps with Drew Lock, but they kind of want a little bit of insurance policy. And I have one that a lot of people aren't going to make sense because this franchise is super pigeonholed, but they do like to build through the draft, but they're not big on like taking risks. I believe that I believe that the Packers drafted Jordan Love last year, and it was a future pick. And Aaron Rodgers obviously felt the way he felt. I think the best pick for the Packers is to sell the fucking house, go up and get Pitts from the Falcons at number 4. And the reason why I believe this works is if you do get Jordan Love to come in, you have a target when he's there. And now you've appeased Aaron Rodgers about giving him an actual target at the end of his career. And he's never had a tight end who's like that.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? He's had Mercedes Lewis. He's had Jimmy G. Shit, I even think he had Vashante Shanko at one point from Minnesota. Like, you've never given him the guy at that position, and I think it's time that we go give him the guy at that position. With that being said, at number 5 for Cincinnati, I'm not going to say his name. You said it perfectly earlier. I'm not going to even try to butcher this young man's name. Out of Oregon, the offensive lineman.
Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think that's a sure bet. We saw fucking Joe Burrow get Infinity Stoned last year. This man disintegrated in the air. It just makes more sense. You got to protect him. They probably want Pitts, but it's not doable.
He's not getting that far.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I think at number 6 for Miami, people are gonna say Waddle. I'm not there with it. I do think this is when Jamar Chase comes off the board. I think this makes sense. They went and got Fuller. He's going to be gone for 2 games, I think. Yeah, I think it's 2 games. And then they went and they have Parker, who could be leaving very soon. So I think this is a better pick for them. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if they went and they got Slater to shore up Tua. So with that being said, whichever one they don't get, I believe falls to 6. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I believe falls to 7 for Detroit. Yeah. I think Detroit ends up. I think we see corners, in my personal opinion, go back to back. I think Detroit and Carolina both have to. They both have to solidify that defense. They got new talent coming in. Both got 2 new quarterbacks. And number one thing you can do to help your quarterback is get them a tight end. Pitts isn't going to drop that far. Detroit already has Hawkinson, so the next thing you do is you solidify the defense. And I believe that you either have your choice. You can get Fairley or Certain or Surtain. Yeah, so I think it depends on how you want to do it. I want to say the problem with Caleb Fairley or whatever his name is, it's the lack of experience. He hasn't played as many. Like we said, he hasn't played as many. But we'll see how that goes. You know what I mean? It just depends. But I do believe that we're going to see back-to-back corners go off this board. I know that's going to sound crazy to people, but I think logically, Detroit doesn't need too many other things, and I don't know if they're going to have an impact player at that pick the way that they're doing it. So, I don't know. That's just me personally. I think at 9, if Denver doesn't trade, then it's Trey Lance. I think that's their pick. And to be honest with you, I just don't know where Matt goes. In all honesty, people are saying this, but I don't believe he fits schemes the way people are saying. I think he has to be in a perfect situation. So if it's not the 49ers, where does he go on this list? He's not going to Philly. Even though they are saying that Philly's looking at another quarterback for some odd reason. I don't know why that's a thing, but that's how they look. And for number 10, I have the Dallas Cowboys, who I actually have a lot more faith in the draft than I have in them doing anything in free agency. So that one is a little bit more up in there. Actually, I know this is going to be a little cheating. I didn't pick what they were going to do because I think with Dan Quinn as their defensive coordinator now, he's brought in every scrub from Atlanta that we had. No offense, Keanu O'Neal. But, I just don't believe Jerry Jones. I think he's lost, what do you call it in college? When you get in trouble with the coach, institutional control. I think he's lost institutional control. I think the coach. I don't think people want to play for McCarthy, and I don't trust the way McCarthy drafts. I actually trust Jerry Jones a little bit, and he's the acting GM, but I think there's a conflict there. So with that being a conflict, I believe this pick can go anywhere. Like I promise you this, if the Cowboys drafted Mac Jones, I swear to God, I would not be surprised. And I know that sounds crazy, and they probably should just get the offensive lineman from. Northwestern, is it the second one off the board, I believe?
Slater.
Yeah. No, yeah. They should probably get someone. They should probably get an offensive lineman. I just don't trust McCarthy at this point. Like, anything he can do to screw up, I believe he will do to screw up. Aaron Rodgers went to 2 NFC championships the second he was gone. So it's clearly he's a problem. I know this is going to be a wild draft. People are going to look at me like I'm crazy. But when I'm 7 out of 10, come the 29th, holla at your boy.
There we go. So. All right, Dale, we'll have you go third. What do you got?
All right, so I think 1 and 2 is very clear to everyone. Lawrence Wilson, get through that. Number 3, I think that Shanahan and company is going to do the right thing here. I think Justin Fields goes off the board. I genuinely think that there's smoke screens that are going up because there's nothing that I could find anywhere that would say that he doesn't deserve to go 3. After that, Atlanta. I think that Atlanta has a very high probability of potentially trading this pick, but I think whoever moves into this slot is taking Kyle Pitts. I think that Atlanta would love to have Kyle Pitts in there, even though I think Mac Wilson is a great pick for Atlanta because of where Matty Ice is in his career. Mac Jones, because of where Matty Ice is in his career. He has good weapons. He could learn from somebody who's a Hall of Famer, but I think the pick's going to be Kyle Pitts here no matter what. Then we're going to Cincy. My boy Joe Burrow has been lobbying for Jamar Chase, but the front office ain't going to have it. They're going to go get him an offensive tackle. They're protecting the franchise. Penny from Oregon is going to go there, in my opinion. Then we're going to move on to Miami. You guys had good takes there with Devontae Parker. They did sign Will Fuller. I think they're going to go Devontae Smith. I think he's going to be the first one off the board here. I think it fits what Miami wants to do. Him and Tua have some comfortability there. He's a different type of receiver than they currently have. He's nothing like Fuller, really. And Devontae Parker, you don't know what's going to happen there. And I think Devontae Smith slides in very smoothly. And for a year or two, you have 3 really good wide receivers. After that, Lions. Just got Jared Goff in town. Get him a weapon. Go out. Get him Jamar Chase. It's not complicated. It's simple. Get the boy someone to throw the ball to. Then we're moving on to Carolina. This went out, got Sam Darnold, have the back. What's better than to go get Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold, an offensive tackle? They're going to go grab Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. Again, another not complicated. It's simple. Protect your investments. Those are your investments. Denver. Zoe, I'm with you. It's an Elway pick. Trey Lance is going to Denver. It is literally an Elway pick. If Trey Lance does not end up in Denver, I will be rattled. And then Dallas. I don't disagree with anything that's been said. You don't know what Jerry Jones is doing on draft day. They had no reason to go out and get a receiver last year. They did anyway. But I think the smart pick is going to be Patrick Surtain. I think it fits what they need. He can do multiple things. I think he'd work well in a Dan Quinn defense. I think that's a good fit for them. But again, Jerry Jones pulls rabbits out of his hats on draft day. So whatever's the best player available on Jerry Jones's board, I think is who gets taken there.
I like it, dude. We have a lot of similar picks. I think all of my picks have been taken in some sense by you 3. I'll go through mine real quick. Jaguars going to take Trevor Lawrence, it's set in stone. Jets going to take Zach Wilson. Do I think he's the second best quarterback? No, I actually think it's Justin Fields, but it's the Jets. 49ers, I think they do take Mac Jones. I think they want to take a safe pick here. Like I said, I think Justin Fields is better, but I think they go Mac Jones. I think Kyle Pitts is the second best player in the draft. I think he goes to the Falcons at number 4 if they keep that pick. But I agree with you. If the pick gets traded, whoever slips into number 4 should take Kyle Pitts. 5, you got to take Penei Sewell. Joe Burrow gets the shit kicked out of him every Sunday. I mean, it makes no sense not to get an offensive tackle here.
Domestic violence charges.
It's just, I like Joe Burrow. I felt terrible watching him play. He was balling too.
Yeah.
You got to go tackle here. Dolphins, I think, got to link up Devontae Smith with Tua. They came in the same 2017 recruiting class with Alabama. They're boys. You got to give him another target. Lions, got to go Jamar Chase. I love Devontae. I love Jalen. Jamar Chase might be the best receiver in the draft. You got to give Jared Goff a weapon. You have to go Jamar Chase here if he's available. Panthers, I kind of have a weird pick here. I got J.C. Horn from South Carolina, the cornerback. You got Dante Jackson already. at corner, and then you have nobody else. And you're in a division with the Falcons and the Saints,
The Bucks.
and the Bucks, where there's just crazy receivers, and you need to have two good corners, or else you can get eaten alive. You go J.C. Horn here. I got Broncos taking Justin Fields. I know it's a weird pick,
I'm
but
actually not mad at that.
but I could totally see Justin Fields taking over for Drew Lock. My opinion, Drew Lock's not that guy. He should go take dancing classes somewhere because that's what he likes to do. He's a weird dude. Justin Fields, I think, to Denver, and then Patrick Surtain looks like a Cowboy. That's why he probably won't be a Cowboy. But that's my pick to the Cowboys. I got Patrick Surtain, who I think is the best pure corner in the draft. You got Trayvon Diggs on one side, Alabama guy. You can get Patrick Surtain, another Alabama guy that would just fix that defense, who is probably the worst in the league. So that's why I got as my top 10. Let's transition real quick to our top 5 players overall in the draft. We'll start with you, Zoe.
I think Trevor Lawrence is clearly the number one. I do believe that Justin Fields is, outside of Trevor, the most plug-and-play player in this draft. I think no matter where he goes, he can instantly compete amongst these lesser teams in the front half. He can instantly compete. It doesn't matter if it's San Francisco, the Jets. It doesn't matter where he goes, the Broncos. He comes in and he's automatically your number 2 at the least.
These are can't miss players.
Yeah, these are like can't miss.
Yeah.
I think Kyle Pitts is as great as he is. We have seen teams ruin tight ends' careers, and that's why I don't want him in Atlanta. Matt Ryan's never had the 2 tight end set. It's not really his thing, so I don't really want him there. But I think talent, athleticism, if he goes somewhere like that's willing to throw the ball and let him block a little bit, generational talent. He's going to be what we thought Eric Ebron was supposed to be. And then
I like that.
And then I think at number 5, number 4, then would be Penei for sure. That man is a monster. Watching his tape got me hard. Like, I've never seen an offensive lineman just finish through blocks, just face to the ground. It doesn't matter. And number 5, I think I'm not gonna lie, I was on the fence about my Detroit pick. I did say a corner, but the Jamar Chase thing, like the wide receiver, it does make sense. I don't know if they need that. I think they probably need more things on defense, but I don't think you can go wrong with Chase. I think these wide receivers are coming in more ready than ever. I think he is the most ready out of all of them, and I think he's probably, he's going to be ready. Like, if we saw what Justin Jefferson did, I think Chase is leaps and bounds, to me personally, better than him. Like, coming out, maybe now, it depends who his pro is. Like, sitting next to Adam Thielen makes you better, I believe that, but I think if he's sitting next to someone who's not dog shit, he's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you guys got here? Top 5 players in the draft.
Lawrence, without saying, I think you're not just mentioned in the same breath as Elway, Manning, or Luck. I think he's a generational talent. Number 2, I'm gonna say Kyle Pitts. I think maybe like a similar coming out, Vernon Davis back in the day when we thought this guy can be a serious difference maker. He's super young. He's going to go in. I mean, he's going to be probably a great fantasy pick. I want to see how he blocks. I want to see how he blocks on in line, but wherever he lands up, he's not going out of the top 8. Number 3, Rashawn Slater. I like Sewell, but it's hard, especially I'm a Herbert fan too, but that Oregon offense, I feel like these tackles are probably the least prepared going into the NFL because you hear all the time that they have to basically be retaught the position because of this difference in offenses. My next one up, Zach Wilson. I'm praying for his success in New York. I don't know how much is going to be botched because of the dysfunction that's in the Jets front office, but he has extremely high upside. I think stylistically his passing game, it's like art. Like, it's really special. I'm not going to put him on that Rodgers or Mahomes level yet, but seeing those shorts work out where he was just throwing off his back foot, 65 yards, that's pretty impressive. Round out the top 5, similar to Zoe. I'm going to go Jamar Chase. I just had to throw in a receiver. I don't know if it's a 7-on-7s growing up. I don't know if these kids just playing year-round. They are more polished and probably more than ever. It used to be where the receivers took a while to adjust just because of playing against harder and bigger competition. But give me Jamar Chase, especially what he did with Burrow that last year and then missing a year. It's pretty impressive.
Disrespectful on the field.
Yeah, he actually is. All right, mine. Not complicated. Trevor Lawrence, number 1. Number 2, it's been this way for 3 years now. It's Justin Fields. It's, if he ends up falling to Denver at 9, great for Denver. I genuinely think he's the second best player in this draft.
Is that dying on the hill?
It was the Denver Justin Fields.
No, just Fields at 2.
Fields overall at number 2. Is that dying on the hill?
If it is dying on the hill, I'm dying with you on the hill.
Yeah,
I said the same thing.
I think half the country's dying on the hill.
Yeah, and the other half thinks that he's going to be pick number 17.
It's no in between. Number 3, I'm going Penei. Listen, I think that offensive tackles, when I look at him on film, this guy's so athletic. He's so fast. He lays haymakers. I compare him to Jedrick Wills. I genuinely do. I think he's a faster, more athletic, meaner Jed. And Jed's one of the meanest dudes I've ever seen in the NFL as a rookie. So I think genuinely, don't overthink that one. I think he's number 3 in my opinion. Number 4, I am going Jamar Chase. We saw what Justin Jefferson did this year, and the last time we saw Jamar Chase on the field, he was significantly better. So I don't think that one's complicated either. Wherever he goes, someone's landing an absolute dog. And then number 5, Kyle Pitts. I know some people might hate me for putting him this low, but you know what? He's a tight end. Let's see how he blocks. Let's see how he does the little things. You don't have those question marks with the wide receivers or with like Penny or any of these guys, but with Pitts you do have some question marks that you have to find out. Can he block NFL size guys? So that's something we'll learn. But for top 5 talent, that's one.
There we go. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna go number 1, Trevor Lawrence. I'm gonna start this. I think he's the best quarterback to ever enter the NFL draft. Ever.
Andrew Luck is sitting somewhere angry right now.
I love Andrew Luck. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is the most polished. What can he not do? I mean, what can he? He's one of the best athletes in the draft. I'm gonna throw that out there. By the way.
I've never seen Trevor Lawrence throw a pick and then go and punch the ball out of the guy's hand. I'm just saying, I've seen Andrew Luck do that.
Trevor Lawrence, I think I just cannot wait to watch him play. It's unfortunate he's going to be in Jacksonville. Kyle Pitts, I think he's the top 3 tight ends that ever entered the NFL draft as well. I think he'll just take over a game. If you watch any Florida game last year, he's a matchup nightmare. You don't want to go against him. Darren Waller 2.0. Devontae Smith, I'm serious. Devontae Smith, I have him as number 3. I don't know if he's going to be the best receiver in the NFL, but what I saw in college, it was like, you went against Sean Wade, who's a great player, and he made him look like dog shit. Like, why can't he be good in the NFL? He's a great route runner. Jamar Chase, I have it at number 4. I think he could be the best receiver in the draft. Justin Jefferson was great with the Vikings. Significantly better at LSU was Jamar Chase. I think he'll be great in the NFL. And then number 5, I got to go with Jalen Waddle. The reason why I'm going Jalen Waddle was he was going to win the Heisman Trophy if he didn't get hurt. He was significantly better than Devontae Smith. Gets hurt. I think he's a Tyreek Hill type of player. I don't know if he's going to be as good as Tyreek Hill. He's that type of player. And the NFL today, you need a guy like that. I didn't have Justin Fields and I didn't have Penei Sewell in my top 5, but I do think both of those guys are going to be great NFL players. Penei Sewell has weak upper body strength compared to most offensive tackles. That's a big deal. And then Justin Fields didn't handle the blitz great in college. I think you can definitely pick that up in the NFL and learn that. I think they're both going to be great players. I'm going to go with some sleepers real quick. I got Kadarius Toney from Florida. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of SEC football. He was number 1. Kadarius Toney is an absolute beast. He's a lot like Jalen Waddle. I think he'll be good in NFL system. Christian Barmore from Alabama, defensive lineman. He absolutely took over the college football playoff. He's going to fall to the first round or second round. He should be a top 15 pick. And I'm going to fuck the name up, but the dude from USC, the safety, Talanoa Hufanga. This dude looks
I think
like
it's for the last name right. I'm going to give you credit.
Yeah, I think I got that. He looks like Troy Polamalu. Is he going to be Troy Polamalu? Probably not. But he will literally throw his whole body out there every play, and I like that. So those are my sleepers. Do you guys have bust, sleepers, anything that you'd like to add?
So I don't necessarily know if it's sleeper or not, but Jalen Phillips, defensive lineman from Miami.
Dog.
A lot of people don't know this, but started out UCLA, ended up going to Miami, loves music, produces music, does his thing. I don't know how in love with football he is. He's been hurt, has an injury career, but he had 8 sacks, 15.5 tackles for loss, 36 total pressures in 2019. The guy's an animal. He's probably going to go somewhere late first round, early second, but I think that's one of the guys who's going to be one of the more disruptive players early on. So I'm looking forward to him. Another player that I really like, and he might be my favorite receiver in this entire draft. You have the huge names. Rondale Moore from Purdue.
Thank you.
This guy.
There's some guys that have him in the first round.
Yes.
Like late first round.
Well,
As they should.
Crazy.
For Purdue, right?
So think about the run on Ohio State cornerbacks that went over the last 5 years. Rondale Moore came in and shredded us. This guy is an animal, but he's just always hurt.
I respect the humbleness of this pick.
If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a problem.
I love that.
For NFL defenses. And last but not least, this guy was at one point a projected first rounder, but in the right situation, he's starting to fall. I've seen him as low as 3-4 now. Sean Wade. Someone's going to get great value, especially someone who's looking for a slot corner, a nickel guy. He's not an outside guy. We saw that this year. We tried to move him to the outside. He's just not. He is what he is, and he is an elite slot corner. So someone's going to get very good value there in second, third, fourth round. So those are 3 names that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Love that. You guys have anything?
I love long shots, and I love betting on Mac football. So this is the only reason why I know who this guy is.
Hey, Mac football,
Mac
football.
action.
Dude, Maction, baby, all the time.
Sound like a Ball State alumni over here.
So this guy's from the University of Buffalo, Jarrett Patterson. So keep an eye out on this guy. He's not going to go probably in the first 3 rounds, maybe even the first 4.5. This guy had 8 touchdowns versus Dale School, Kent State. 8. He tied the NCAA record. My boy Caleb
Can't read, can't write, can't cover.
He literally had 8 TDs in one game. But what I like about him, he has all the package, and he totally fits. I mean, he's like an Austin Eckler, Danny Woodhead type. A smart scouting staff, like either, I hate to admit, the Chargers or the Patriots are going to give this guy a chance to where by October, before Halloween, and people are just savagely going through the waiver wire, you're going to look for Jarrett Patterson. He's only 5'9", about 200 pounds, but he can catch, he can block, he's willing to play special teams. He will ball out to try and make a roster. Keep an eye out for him.
For me, I have keeping the theme of, I believe 36 corners are going in the first round because I believe because here's my thing is football has changed. So with football changing, these old school corners who are super physical that are still in the league in their 30s, late 20s, they're not playing the game as it's going to be played. These younger guys are going to come in and they're used to this. We can't touch these receivers. It's going to be less PI calls, things like that. So that's why I'm kind of more pressing for the corner thing. I believe one who is very strong in this, a big body dude, if I'm not mistaken, 6'1", 6'2", about 190, is J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. I like him a lot. I think he's big. Someone opposite build, but comes from legacy that I think is going to be good. Asante Samuels Jr., out of Florida State. I think because he's only 5'10", it's going to be kind of hard to put him on the outside, even though I do think he played a little bit of both in college. Yeah. But I do believe if he's a third of the dog that his father was and has half of the skill, he's at least a rotational corner. He's your Brian Pools. He's one of those type of guys for you at the bottom. And I got one that I believe is one of the guys we talked about can be a later not first round, but like a later pick that can sit behind someone and learn. If he goes to maybe a Chicago, a Philadelphia area, it's Kyle Trask. I believe that we're giving Kyle Pitts all this credit, and I understand, but the same reason why I give Kyle Pitts his credit because he deserves it is the same reason why I think it's going to be up in the air about him in the league, because someone has to throw you that ball. And Kyle Trask has shown he can throw that ball against SEC competition. Now, have we seen him get murdered at times and hold on to the ball for way too long? Possibly, yes. But I also believe this. Sam Darnold saw ghosts, and eventually you're going to get that ball out. You know what I mean? And when he does get that ball out, he's accurate, he's timely, and he moves decently well in the pocket. I think he's an underrated athlete. So, yeah, those are my 3.
I like that a lot. I was going to talk about how this draft compares to previous drafts. I'm just going to go 2 positions straight up. Wide receivers, let's talk about it. The top 3 wide receivers in this draft, which is Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle, are all better than the 3 receivers taken last year in the first round when you had Jerry Jeudy, you had CeeDee Lamb, and you had Henry Ruggs. All 3 of these guys are better than all 3 of them, my opinion. I think these wide receivers are plug-and-play impact players from day one in the NFL, and then offensive tackles. This is a crazy stack draft for offensive tackles. PFF has ranked 7 offensive tackles with first-round grades. You can get a great value offensive tackle in the 2nd and 3rd round. Keep an eye out for that. Do you guys have anything to talk about how this draft compares?
I like your idea about the wide receivers because you said it was Jeudy, Ruggs, and who was the 3rd one? CeeDee Lamb. I think the one thing that we should keep in mind, though, all of those went to places that had either quarterback issues, controversies, or injuries. So we can say they're not as good as like these new ones coming in, but we don't know what type of situation these new ones are going to be in to show productivity. Like CeeDee Lamb didn't expect Dak Prescott's whole ankle to, become baby formula on the side. You know what I mean? Like Henry Ruggs didn't think that he's going to have Marcus Mariota actually battling Derek Carr at one point. And Jerry Jeudy, even though I am a Drew Lock fan, let's not be honest. When you lost Cortland Sutton, and even though San Diego's own Tim Patrick showed the fuck up last season, it's not the system that you envisioned him being in. So I understand your point, but I feel like this: if Waddle goes down to Miami for some reason, and Tua, I'm not even gonna say something. I'm just gonna say something happens to Tua or he can't play, then all of a sudden all that we're talking about doesn't matter, because I think with wide receiver for sure, it's your job to get open, but once you get into the tile trash thing, someone's got to throw you the rock.
Yep.
Unlike offensive linemen, if you just stand in front of this dude, and it's a hard job, but if you stand in front of him and you do your job, we'll notice it. You know what I mean? It's just you versus whoever is going on, As long as someone doesn't call a messed up, protection, it's not, I won't say it's an easier job, but it's a more point A to point B possibly. Like, it's just you versus them to a certain degree,
Yep.
What about you guys?
So I'm going to get shredded for this. I know it.
Let's do it.
This quarterback class will be the 2018 class. 1 or 2 of these quarterbacks will make it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Hey.
That's it.
I agree.
I have a note on here, and it's 2015 draft of QB. We did a segment on Young on the Watch where I told them, I said, the 2015 draft ruined wide receivers because a bunch of shit wide receivers were taken. And then the next 3 years, everyone's scrambling to take wide receivers because they're like, oh my God, everyone got someone good. And come to find out, none of them were fucking good.
No.
And this is going to be the same thing with quarterbacks.
Like,
it's going
we
to be
don't
the
even
same
know.
thing.
Even
Stretch
though
before
Lawrence,
you reach.
Like, even though Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, is by far the best prospect in this draft, do not get me wrong. I think there is still a coin flip chance if he makes it or not. Look at the situation he's going to. Look at the situation Zach fucking Wilson's going to go to. If Sam Darnold didn't make it in the same situation, and he probably had a higher draft grade, I didn't compare it, I probably should have, than Wilson, everyone loved Darnold coming out of USC. Mm-hmm. Everyone. He didn't make it in New York, so why is this guy going to make it? I'm excited to fast forward 3 years, though, and see what quarterbacks are still standing, because I think it's only going to be 1 or 2.
What about you? Do you have any tidbits?
Yeah, I compared. I was going to mention the 2018 one, so thank you for stealing that. But I have another one. I'll do this draft. Just because of the luck and Trevor Lawrence comparison, I'm doing the 2012 and 2021 draft. If you look in 2012, Andrew Luck, RG3, Ryan Tannehill, Brandon Weeden, Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, Kirk Cousins. You look at this one, we already said it ad nauseum. The Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Kyle Trask, possibly Davis Mills from Stanford. I mean, there's probably going to be at least 7 QBs taken at least in the first 3 rounds. I want to do the long game too. I want to see. I mean, these are like household names that are already household names. They haven't even taken an NFL snap. That when we look back, we're going to say, look at history. I mean, did Lawrence pan out? Is he going to pull an Andrew Luck and just retire some random day in August and just sends Twitter on fire?
That's the hill you're dying on, huh? Mm-hmm. That Trevor Lawrence is going to retire early, huh?
Look, I read the SI article.
I'm not mad at it.
It's just, that's so awful.
Live your best life.
And yeah. I love the player empowerment. That's why I credit the NBA, because I think they're like spearheading this, where a lot of times the players just back down to these billionaire owners, where these players know their worth, especially with social media, and I think that kind of helps and plays into it, where they're basically saying, fuck that. Like, no, this is my brand. This is my name. I'm going to profit. This is what I want to do. To say you don't, if I'm a Jacksonville fan, I'm a little weary. Just to hear that, I understand he's very good. And I don't know, maybe I am a little biased. I don't see Urban Meyer succeeding there. This is not college. He cannot control what you're doing outside. He's not going to go into your dorm. He's not going to go check how clean your car is. Like, dude, these guys are going to either go to the strip clubs after the games.
He's not going to cover up any stories.
Urban Meyer's going to be in that strip club.
He's going to be with the strip club. You know what I'm saying? And there's just...
Don't watch this, Shelly.
No, but we don't have to fucking bullshit. We know what these pro athletes do. Dude, these guys are like, they're mid-20s and they're millionaires. Like, what's going to stop them? And you look how young their roster is. Like, they have the most picks. Like, or not the most picks. I think Philadelphia does. But they
might have the youngest team in the league.
Yeah, they have at least 4 or 5 picks in the first 50. I mean, all those kids are under 23 or 24. Like, I mean, it's essentially like a de facto college team again, but the long game, are you going to bring in veterans? Are you going to get another like Jalen Ramsey personality where he's just wedging everything and just creates a divide? Are you going to buy in?
Or bring in another coach who has to get already fired before his first day because you don't do
that's a whole nother thing. Yeah,
I have a question, Josh, I'm going to ask, because I think this is going to alley-oop you for your disappointments. Is this the most trash running back class of all time? Not saying the top ones are that bad, but I think the depth of the position, I was looking at it and I'm like, bro,
I think it's just a trend.
I think it's a trend.
Outside of Najee Harris, who? Like, we can't even.
This is my alley
Travis
because I already
Etienne.
know how you feel about someone. I saw it, so I just wanted to give you that off the backboard.
I wrote it down just in case we got to it. We're
Same.
going to get to it. Travis Etienne is not good, bro. Like,
I knew he was good.
Bro, he's just not. Like, if you watch their games, it's the Trevor Lawrence show, and it's Travis Etienne just taking advantage.
Just running draws the whole game. The whole game. I know.
I mean,
As an
you watch
ACC
Clemson,
fan, I
He's
know.
just another CJ Spiller.
He's a CJ Spiller. Clemson does
Watch
not
your
good.
dirty dog of a mouth about CJ Spiller.
CJ Spiller is the best Clemson running back to come out in the last 20 years. What do we got? Wayne Gallman, bro. Like, there's nobody coming out of
another one, but you might be right.
Yeah, there's no Clemson good running backs. Prove me wrong if you're watching this, Travis Etienne. I don't think you're that good. And then Zach Wilson, not because he's not a good player, but the Jets are just so dog shit. I think he's a bust. And then Trey Lance, I haven't seen enough. I don't think he's going to get put in a good situation if he goes top 10. And those are my 3 potential busts.
I love that. I love that.
And to wrap up the show, I'd like to give a shout out to Will and Dale from What's on the Menu Daily. You can check them out on their podcast and their YouTube channel. Welcome to the JP25 family. I think this is the first thing we've done like together since the Young and the Wash, huh?
Yeah, since we all started collabing with JP25,
Yeah, it's a beautiful things on the horizon.
good.
I am your boy, Fat Face Fabio, Vaxxed Up Sade himself, Young Dunzo. With me is the Sultan of Single, the South Bay Savant, Young Joshua Henry Palet. Check his government. You can catch JP25 Media on our YouTube podcast, anywhere you can, and will listen to things. Have a great day.